Well, I am quite excited this week, or somewhere this week, the 15th of this month. My daughter will be celebrating her 7th month of existence. Of course, she's several months shy of her first birthday, but as a new parent, I'm psyched and excited about the fact that she is growing, and watching her grow is one of the greatest pleasures and privileges that I certainly try to not take for granted. I mean, these are moments that once they pass, that's it. So better get to know her at this stage, and watch her grow, watch the whole process, be a part of it. And so that, one day we can look back on all this and be like, wow, what a journey it has been. And I think if you are a parent, you might relate with the sentiment. Perhaps it's a feeling you're familiar with, given the children that you have birthed and raised. How old are they now? Are they much older? Are they in school? Are they in high school? Several of my friends have children that have even graduated from university. Yeah. I started late, so please cut me some slack. Mine is still a newborn, and so, I'm just learning the ropes of being a parent. But I know it's not easy. And I recently encountered a video that really triggered my attention. It was a video that I saw being shared on a WhatsApp status of a friend of mine called Rogers Balamaga, who, by the way, is a professional food connoisseur. He operates a restaurant called Rogers Bites, and he introduced me to what is known as the keto diet. And in case you've ever wondered how is it that I went from being super obese to the rather normal size that I have now, trim size, well, Rogers had a big part to play in it. So so I checked out one of his WhatsApp statuses, and it was of a video of a guy sort of narrating his story and how he entered into paternal postpartum depression after the birth of his son. Typically, when we think of postpartum depression, we think in terms of the mother, right? Typically, we think of how a mother might feel after she has given birth, and all of the hormones that have just wrecked her mind and her system, and she's confused. And I meant to understand it can be quite challenging, leading many new mothers into a depressive state, and then sometimes, of course, it can get so bad where they might even hurt themselves or even the children. So we know what postpartum depression is, but we didn't know that it affects fathers. Well, apparently it does, and it did in the case of this gentleman whose clip I checked out on a friend's WhatsApp status, but I'm just going to play it for you right now, and then I'll just share with you my thoughts on it in just a bit. So take a listen to this.
I never really talk about it just because I don't know how to approach it, but I'm pretty sure I went through paternal postpartum depression. My son was born and he did not want to talk to anybody or see anybody or smell anybody that wasn't his mom. And I know that sounds like I'm exaggerating. If I touch him, he just explodes. And how do I put this gently? There's a lot of damage that's done by rejection. Think of it this way. If you've been told by everybody, just back off, yeah. And then you get told by your child, leave me alone. There's an extent to which it doesn't matter what anybody else tells you at this point about how good of a job you're doing. Yeah. Oh, you're really trying, so you feel like you're not doing anything. And I also remember making the conscious decision of I'm going to research every single dad who's ever had a tough time with their kid, and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to break this child. I refuse to be kicked out of my own life. I had to do this thing of like making it part of his schedule, where invariably you wake up, it's me. We start the day together, we end the day together every day. And I used to tell Zayn, like, just sit this out. You're going to hear a lot of just sit this out. Yeah, it's going to be daddy time in the morning, daddy time in the evening, every day. And 5.5 years later, it's still daddy time in the morning. Okay. Well, not so much in the morning anymore because I'm on night shift now. But I still wake him up.
Wow. What do you think about that? Very touching story from a guy who clearly is one of the modern men that the ladies keep telling us that they want. The kind of man that would want to be involved in the child's life. I mean, it's one thing to have a live-in partner or a spouse. It's another thing to have one who lives with you and it would like to be involved rather than sort of throw his legs on the couch and just watch TV, watch football, and leave everything to the mom. This guy wants to be involved, wants to be close to the child, and he was feeling depressed that the child wasn't very receptive to his overtures and wasn't really trying to feel him. And so this dude was feeling rejected. Now, so what are my thoughts on this? I feel like it's tragic in several ways. So let's just start by describing the guy in the clip we just saw, right? And that is if you're only listening to this on the live stream of the audio feed from the website, maybe let me try and describe to you what this guy looks like. So he's a Kenyan dude, and he's got sort of short braids, and he has a very effeminate demeanor about him. By no means is he girly, but he leans more towards the soft side when it comes to being a dude, if you know what I mean. And he obviously, even just from hearing how he expresses himself, you can tell he's a man very much in touch with his emotions and likes to wear it on his sleeve. And he talks about how it hurts when you're dealing with rejection in all kinds of different places, and then to come home and to be rejected by your child also, it's pure devastation. I don't know, but to me this communicated that this dude might be, among many things, emotionally needy, and thus was relying upon the child to get some kind of validation. And when the child didn't validate him by acknowledging him and looking at him and saying, "Oh, you're my dad, you're awesome," and giving him all the love and affection that he feels he's kind of being deprived from the rest of society, it put him in a depressive state. Now, my response to this would be, and as a father, when I interact with my daughter, sometimes she's in the mood for me, and sometimes, I should say most times, she's absolutely not in the mood for me. So it ranges between her being indifferent to me, not really caring about my presence, to sometimes being outrightly hostile, where she screams and demands that her mother pick her up. So I mean, that is something that I'm kind of used to, and it's also something that I don't take offense to. You see, unlike our dude here in this clip, I don't look to my child as a source of emotional validation. I look at my child as a source of, or at least I look at my child as my, I think the phrase I'm looking for is, I wanted to say I look at my child as my responsibility. I think, yeah, let me just say that. As my responsibility, primarily. So when I sit with my child on my lap and I'm just sort of bonding, I'm thinking more in terms of, yep, there's things I gotta do, ways I gotta be responsible for this child. I'm not thinking in terms of, hey there, little one, do you want to make me feel good? Do you want to give daddy a kiss or daddy a hug? Occasionally in a playful way, but never to where it's kind of like I would feel bad if the emotions I was directing at the child were not being reciprocated. And I think for fathers, this is something that we're really gonna have to learn. For those who don't know it already, perhaps the idea of being a second mother to a child isn't what we are designed to be. It could be that all this propaganda, the feminism and egalitarianism that has been promoted throughout the world have really turned fathers into weaklings, you know. And would you be surprised if eventually this young boy grew up to be a little spoilt brat because, you know, his father was essentially mothering him? A child needs one mother, not two. And so as a father, your job is to be present, to offer guidance, and not sort of be too emotionally attached. Not to say to not care, but not to be too emotionally constrained by a child, or emotionally wow, today I'm struggling to find the words. Maybe because it's quite a deep topic. But not sort of being anchored to any need for emotional validation from your child is how I mean it. You're the dad. Your job is to get out there, to build empires, conquer the world. I'm sounding a little bit like Top G, aren't I? But it is true, and I've heard him talk about this. Like, you know, one thing you can say about Andrew Tate is that he has extreme respect for his father. You will never hear him speak of anyone more highly than he does of his father. And yet the relationship they had wasn't like, oh, my little baby boy, my little darling, hey, let me just be your best friend, be your second mom. No, this is a man who was not always present, but was present, and offered guidance, and offered direction, and offered a person to emulate. I wonder if a child won't feel, in a way, lost if he finds himself, or she finds himself, with a parent, and especially a paternal parent, a father, seeking that emotional comfort from the child. You know, because children need to feel like they're safe with a parent. And if the parent is showing that, hey, I'm dependent on you emotionally, I feel like it'll make the child feel anxious. And so yeah, so be a father, be a parent, but not to where, oh, you're my best friend, you're my best bud. Morning time is daddy time, evening time is daddy time. I'm listening to this and I'm like, this just sounds so bizarre. It sounds so strange. I can't see myself ever being this obsessed with seeking friendship out of my children. And it perhaps speaks to this gentleman's personal situation. Maybe he's not feeling sufficiently socially validated. Perhaps in his work, he's feeling not so appreciated by what he does, and he at least hopes that a child, an innocent child, will see the value in him that he feels the rest of the world doesn't see. But you see, that's not how to do it. You know, if you want your child to see value in you, you just need to be out there crushing it. You gotta be building empires. You need to be hustling. You need to be just killing it out there. And then your child will observe what you're doing and notice your hard work and your dedication and your accomplishments and be like, damn, my dad is awesome. I feel the same way about my own father. My father was also an old school dad. He certainly was not a second mother. That is for sure. As I would say, probably most African fathers of the previous generation were very masculine, very traditional, and we have tremendous respect for them because they commanded respect. They didn't even have to ask for it. They just commanded it because, our daddies were the top G in our household. Our daddies weren't the second mommy. So this dude, when his son starts to test his boundaries as he grows older, he'll probably just roll over and let the child have his way. And you're going to end up with a spoiled brat on your hands is what I would say to this dude. So I don't know if that there are any hard and fixed rules on this sort of issue, but I lean more towards a father maintaining a degree of emotional distance, because to me, the kind of relationship he seems to be seeking with his son is going to end up hurting his son in the long run. I think his son will benefit more from a father that is more stoic, whose emotions are more under control, and doesn't require validation of their child. I mean, your child's not going to respect you if he or she can sense that you need to be patted on the head, that you need to be acknowledged and validated by the child. Your child will now start to look at you like you. Do you see what I mean? And this is why in a lot of homes, even the mom would rely upon the dad to instill the discipline and the standards and all of this stuff, because the nature of the relationship is different. Kids know that, mom, I can tell mom anything and she'll just roll over and leave me alone. She'll let me do anything I want. Mom is my kinder, softer parent. But with dad, there are no games. And so if you want to be the kind of father who sets standards and make sure that your child sort of maintains a straight line and has a highly constructive future ahead of him, then yeah, you're gonna want to maintain a slight degree of emotional distance and not be complaining that your child isn't giving you love. It is your responsibility as a father to give love, and it's a difficult role, and it can be very lonely. But that's the burden we bear as fathers. We are just out there to build and to provide. Eventually, their child, when they grow up and they start to realize how the world works, they will come to acknowledge and appreciate the sacrifices that we made for them, and they will grow up to worship us. They will deify us, venerate us. Now is not the time to seek it from them. Right now they're toddlers, so let mommy handle all of that emotional stuff. If you're the father, be on your grind, be on your hustle, build an empire, and make your children proud. That's my take on the situation. What's yours? Let me know.